Hi everyone, welcome back. Sorry it cut out in the last video. I thought I was going to make it to the end of that prayer, but I didn't. So I'll carry on from the end of it here, from verse 42. And I answered and said, O Adam, what have you done to all those who are born from you? What will be said to the first Eve who hearkened to the serpent? For all this multitude are going to corruption, nor is there any numbering of those whom the fire devours. But again I will speak in your presence. You, O Lord, my Lord, you know what is your creature. For you did of old command the dust to produce Adam, and you know the number of those who are born from him, and how far they have sinned before you, who have existed and not confessed you as their creator. And as regards all these shall their end convict them, and your law, which they have transgressed, shall requite them on your day. But now let us dismiss the wicked and inquire about the righteous, and I will recount their blessedness, and not be silent in celebrating their glory, which is reserved for them. For assuredly, as in a little time in this transitory world which you live, you have endured much labour, so that in the world to which there is no end you shall receive great light. Nevertheless, I will again ask from you, O Mighty One, yea, I will ask, made all things. In what shape will those live who live in your day? Or how will the splendour of those who are after that time continue? Will they then resume this form of the present, and put on the intramelling members, which are now involved in evils, and in which evils are consummated? Or will you perchance change these things which have been in the world, as also the world? And he answered and said to me, Hear, Baruch, this word, and write in the remembrance of your heart all that you shall learn. For the earth shall then assuredly restore the dead, which it now receives in order to preserve them. It shall make no change in their form, but as it has received, so shall it restore them. And as I delivered them unto it, so also shall it raise them. For then it will be necessary to show the living that the dead have come to life again, and that those who had departed have returned again. And it shall come to pass, when they have severally recognized those who they know now, then judgment shall grow strong, and those things which were before were spoken of shall come. And it shall come to pass, when that appointed day has gone by, and there shall the aspect of those who are condemned be afterwards changed, and the glory of those who are justified. For the aspect of those who now act wickedly shall become worse than it is, and they shall suffer torment. Also, as for the glory of those who have now been justified in my law, who have had understanding in their life, and who have planted in their heart the root of wisdom, then their splendour shall be glorified in changes, and the form of their face shall be turned into the light of their beauty, that they may be able to acquire and receive the world which does not die, which is then promised to them. For over this, above all, shall those who come then lament, that they rejected my law, and stopped their ears, that they might not hear wisdom, or receive understanding. When therefore they see those over whom they are now exalted, but who shall then be exalted and glorified more than they shall respectively be transformed, the latter into splendour of angels, and the former shall yet more waste away in wonder at the visions and the beholding of the forms. For they shall first behold, and afterwards depart to be tormented. But those who have been saved by their works, and to whom the law has now been a hope, an understanding and expectation, and wisdom and confidence, shall wonders appear in their time. For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them, and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them. And time shall no longer age them, for in the heights of that world shall they dwell. And they shall be made like unto the angels, and be made equal to the stars. and they shall be changed into every form they desire, from beauty into loveliness, and from light into splendour of glory. For there shall be spread before them the extents of paradise, and there shall be known to them the beauty of the majesty of the living creatures which are now beneath the throne, and all the armies of the angels who are now held fast by my word, lest they should appear, and are held fast by a command, that they may stand in their places till the advent comes. Moreover, there shall be an excellency in the righteous surpassing that of the angels. For the first shall receive the last, those whom they were expecting, and the last of those whom they used to hear that they had passed away. For they have been delivered from this world of tribulation, and laid down their burden of anguish. For what then have men lost their life? And for what of those who were in the earth exchanged their soul? For then they chose not for themselves this time, which beyond the reach of anguish could not pass away. But they chose for themselves that time, whose issues are full of lamentations and evils. And they denied the word which ages not those who come to it. And they rejected the time of glory, so that they shall not come to the honour which I told you before. And I answered and said, how can we forget those for whom woe is then reserved? And why therefore do we again mourn for those who die? Or why do we weep for those who depart to Sheol? Let lamentations be reserved for the beginning of that coming torment, and let tears be laid up for the advent of the destruction of that time. But even in the face of those things will I speak. And as for the righteous, what will they do now? Rejoice you in the suffering which you now suffer, for why do you look for the decline of your enemies? Make ready your soul for that which is reserved for you, and prepare your souls for the reward which is laid up for you. When I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision, and lo, a cloud was ascending from a very great sea. And I kept gazing on, and lo, it was full of waters, white and black. There were many colours in those self-same waters, and as it were a likeness of a great lightning was seen in its summit. And I saw the cloud passing swiftly in quick courses, and it covered the earth. And it came to pass after these things, that cloud began to pour upon the earth the waters that were in it. And I saw that there was not one and the same likeness in the waters which descended from it. For in the first beginning they were black and many, or a time, and afterwards I saw the waters became bright, but they were not many. And after these things again I saw black waters, and after these things again bright, and again black, and again bright. Now this was done 12 times, but the black were always more numerous than the bright. And it came to pass at the end of the cloud, and lo, it rained black waters, and they were darker, and had been all those waters that were before it, and fire was mingled with them. And those were the waters descended, they wrought devastation and destruction. And after these things I saw how that the lightning, which I had seen in the summit of the cloud, seized hold of it and hurled it to the earth. Now that lightning shone exceedingly, so as to illuminate the whole earth, and it healed those regions where the last waters had descended and wrought devastation. And it took hold of the whole earth, and had dominion over it. And I saw after these things, and lo, 12 rivers were ascending from the sea, and they began to surround that lightning, and to become subject to it. And by reason of my fear I awoke. And I besought the Mighty One, and said, you alone, O Lord, know the foretime, the deep things of the world, and the things which befall in their times. You bring about your word, and against the works of the inhabitants of the earth you do hasten the beginnings of the times. And the end of the seasons you are alone know. You for whom nothing is too hard. but who do everything easily by a nod. You to whom the depths come as the heights, and whose word the beginnings of the ages serve. You who reveal to those who fear you what is prepared for them, that thenceforth they may be comforted. You show great acts to those who know not. You breaking up the enclosure of those who are ignorant, and lightest up what is dark, and reveal what is hidden to the pure, who in faith have submitted themselves to you and your law. You have shown your servant this vision. Reveal to me also its interpretation, for I know that it regards those things wherein I besought you. I have received a response, and as regards what I besought, you did reveal to me. With that voice I should praise you. And for what members I should cause praises and hallelujahs to ascend to you. For if my members were mouths, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give the reward of praise, nor laud you as is befitting. Nor could I recount your praise, nor tell the glory of your beauty. For what am I amongst men? Why am I reckoned amongst those who are more excellent than I? That I have heard all these marvellous things from the Most High, and numberless promises from him who created me. Blessed be my mother amongst those that bear, and praise amongst women be she that bare me. For I will not be silent in praising the Mighty One, and with the voice of praise I will recount his marvellous deeds. For who doth like your marvellous deeds, O God? Or who comprehend your deep thought of life? For with your counsel you do govern all the creatures which your right hand has created. And you have established every fountain of light beside you, and the treasuries of wisdom beneath your throne you have prepared. And justly do they perish who have not loved your law, and the torment of judgment that shall await those who have not submitted themselves to your power. For though Adam first sinned and brought untimely death upon all, yet of those who were born from him, each one of them has prepared for his own soul torment to come. And again, each one of them has chosen for himself glories to come. For assuredly, he who believeth will receive reward. But now, as for you, you wicked that are now are, turn you to destruction, because you shall speedily be visited, in that formerly you rejected the understanding of the Most High. For his works have not taught you, nor has the skill of his creation, which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only him, his own soul. But each of us has been the Adam of his own soul. But do you, O Lord, expound to me regarding the things which you have revealed to me, and inform me regarding which I besought you. For at the consummation of the world, vengeance shall be taken upon those who have done wickedness according to their wickedness, and you will glorify the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst you, your own, you rule, and those who sin you blot out from amongst your own. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking these words of this prayer, I sat there under a tree, and that I might rest in the shade of the branches. And I wondered and was astonished, and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness, which sinners who are upon the earth have rejected, and regarding the great torment which they have despised, though they knew that they should be tormented because of the sin that they had committed. And when I was pondering on these things, and the light, lo, the angel Ramiel, who presides over true visions, was sent to me, and said to me, Why does your heart trouble you, Baruch, and why does your thoughts disturb you? For if owning to the report which you have only heard of judgment, you are so moved, what will you be when you shall see it manifestly with your eyes? And if the expectation wherewith you do expect the day of the Mighty One, you are so overcome, what will you be when you shall come to this advent? And if at the word of the announcement of the torment of those who have done foolishly, you are so wholly distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvellous things? And if you have heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming, and are grieved, what will you be when you shall behold what the Majesty will reveal, which shall convict these and cause those to rejoice? Nevertheless, because you have besought the Most High to reveal to you the interpretation of the vision which you have seen, I have been sent to tell you. And the Mighty One have assuredly made known to you the methods of the times that have passed, and of those that are destined to pass in his world from the beginning of its creation even to its consummation, of those things which are deceit, and of those which are in truth. For as you did see a great cloud which ascended from the sea, and went and covered the earth, this is the duration of the world, which the Mighty One made when he took counsel to make the world. And it came to pass, when the word had gone forth from his presence, that the duration of the world had come into being in a small degree, and was established according to the multitude of the intelligence of him who sent it. And as you did previously see on the summit of the cloud black waters which descended previously on the earth, this is the transgression wherewith Adam the first man transgressed. For since when he transgressed, untimely death came into being. Grief was named, and anguish was prepared, and pain was created, and trouble consummated, and disease began to be established, and Sheol kept demanding that it should be renewed in blood. And the begetting of children was brought about, and the passion of parents produced, and the greatness of humanity was humiliated, and the goodness languished. What, therefore, can be blacker or darker than these things? This is the beginning of the black waters which you have seen. And from these black waters again were black derived, and the darkness of the darkness was produced. For he became a danger to his own soul, even to the angels. For, moreover, at that time when he was created, they enjoyed liberty. And became he a danger, some of them descended and mingled with the women. And then those who did were so tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of the angels, of which there is no number, restrained themselves. And those who dwelt upon the earth perished together with them, through the waters of the deluge. These are the black waters, the first ones. And after these waters you did see bright waters, and this is the fount of Abraham. Also his generous... Sorry, still early. This is the fount of Abraham. Also his generations and advent of his son, and of his son's son, and of those like them. Because at that time the unwritten law was named amongst them. And the works of commandments were then fulfilled, and the belief in the coming judgment was then generated, and the hope of the world that was to be renewed was then built up, and the promises of the life that should come hereafter was implanted. These are the bright waters which you have seen. And the black third waters which you have seen, these are the mingling of all sins, which the nations afterwards wrought after the death of those righteous men, and the wickedness of the land of Egypt, wherein they did wickedly, in the service wherewith they made their sons to serve. Nevertheless, these also perished at last. And the bright fourth waters which you have seen are the advent of Moses and Aaron and Miriam and Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb and those like them. For at that time the lamp of the eternal law shone on all those who had sat in darkness, which announced to them that believe the promise of the reward, and to them that deny the torment of fire which is reserved for them. But also the heavens at that time were shaken from their place, and those who were under the throne of the Mighty One were perturbed, when he was taking Moses unto himself. For he showed him many admonitions, together with the principles of the law, and the consummation of the times. as also to you, and likewise the pattern of Zion, and its measures, in the pattern of which the sanctuary of the present time was to be made. But then also he showed to him measures of the fire, also the depths of the abyss, the weight of the winds, the number of the drops of rain, and the suppression of anger, and the multitude of long suffering, and the truth of judgment, and the root of wisdom, and the riches of understanding, and the fountain of knowledge, and the height of the air, and the greatness of paradise, and the consummation of the ages, and the beginning of the day of judgment, and the number of the offerings, and of the earths which have not yet come, and of the mouth of the Gehenna, and the station of vengeance, and the place of faith, and the region of hope, and the likeness of future torment, and the multitude of innumerable angels, and the flaming hosts, and the splendour of their lightnings, and the voice of the thunders, and the orders of the chiefs of the angels, and the treasuries of light, and the changes of the times, and the investigations of the law. These are the bright fourth waters which you have seen. And the black fifth waters which you have seen reigning are the works of the Amorites wrought, and the spells of their incantations which they wrought, and the wickedness of their mysteries, and the mingling of their pollution. But even Israel was then polluted by sins in the days of the judges, which they saw many signs, which were from him who made them. And the bright sixth waters which through did see, this is the time which David and Solomon were born. And there was at that time the building of Zion, and the dedication of the sanctuary, and the shedding of much blood of the nations that sinned then. And many offerings which were offered then in the dedication of the sanctuary. And peace and tranquility existed at that time. And wisdom was heard in the assembly, and the riches of understanding were magnified in the congregations. And the holy festivals were fulfilled in blessedness and in much joy. And the judgment of the rulers was then seen to be without guile. And the righteousness of the precepts of the Mighty One was accomplished with truth. And the land which was then beloved by the Lord, and because its inhabitants sinned not, it was glorified beyond all lands. And the city Zion ruled then over all lands and regions. These are the bright waters which you have seen. And the black seventh waters which you have seen, this is the perversion brought about by the counsel of Jeroboam, who took counsel to make 2 calves of gold. And all the iniquities which kings who were after him iniquitously brought. And the curse of Jezebel, and the worship of idols which Israel practised at that time, and the withholding of rain, and the famines which occurred until the women eat the fruit of their wombs, and the time of their captivity which came upon the 9 tribes and a half, because they were in many sins. And Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came and led them away captive. But regarding the Gentiles, it were tedious to tell you they always wrought impiety and wickedness, and never wrought righteousness. These are the black seventh waters which you have seen. And the bright eighth waters which you have seen, this is the rectitude of the uprightness of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and the grace of God which came upon him. For when Sennacherib was stirred up in order that he might perish, and in his wrath troubled him in order that he might thereby perish, for the multitude also of the nations which were with him. When, moreover, Hezekiah the king heard those things which the king of Assyria was devising, i.e. to come and seize him and destroy his people, the 2.5 tribes which remained, nay, more, he wished to overthrow Zion also. Then Hezekiah trusted in his works, and had hope in his righteousness, and spoke with the Mighty One, and said, Behold, for lo, Sennacherib is prepared to destroy us, and he will be boastful and uplifted when he has destroyed Zion. And the Mighty One heard him, for Hezekiah was wise, and he had respect unto his prayer, because he was righteous. And thereupon the Mighty One commanded Ramiel, his angel, who speaks with you. And I went forth and destroyed their multitude, the number of whose chiefs only was 185,000, and each one of them had an equal number at his command. And at that time I burned their bodies within, but their raiment and arms I preserved outwardly, in order that the still more wonderful deeds of the Mighty One might appear, and that thereby his name might be spoken throughout the whole earth. And Zion was saved, and Jerusalem delivered. Israel was freed from the tribulation, and all those who were in the Holy Land rejoiced. And the name of the Mighty One was glorified, so that it was spoken of. These are the bright waters which you have seen. And the black ninth waters which you have seen, this is the wickedness which was in the days of Manasseh and Hezekiah, who was the son of Hezekiah. For he wrought much impiety, and he slew the righteous, and he wrested judgment. And he shed the blood of the innocent, and wedded women he violently polluted. And he overturned the altars, and destroyed their offerings, and drove forth the priests lest they should minister in the sanctuary. And he made an image with 5 faces. 4 of them looked to the 4 winds, and the 5th on the summit of the mighty image, as an adversary of the zeal of the Mighty One. And then wrath went forth from the presence of the Mighty One, to the intent that Zion should be rooted out, as also it befell in your days. But also against 2 tribes and a half went forth a decree that they should also be led away captive, as you have now seen. And to such a degree did the impiety of Manasseh increase, that it removed the praise of the Most High from the sanctuary. On this account Manasseh was at the time named the impious, and finally his abode was in the fire. For though his prayer was heard with the Most High, finally when he was cast into the brazen horse, and the brazen horse was melted, it served as a sign for him for the hour. For he had not lived perfectly, for he was not worthy, but that thenceforth he might know whom finally he should be tormented. For he who is able to benefit is also able to be tormented. Thus, moreover, did Manasseh act impiously, and wrought that in his time the Mighty One would not inquire into these things. These are the black ninth waters which you have seen. And the bright 10th waters which you have seen, this is the purity of the generations which Josiah, king of Judah, who was the only one at the time who submitted himself to the Mighty One with all his heart and all his soul. And he cleansed the land from idols, and haloed all the vessels which had been polluted, and restored the offerings to the altar, and raised the horn of the holy, and exalted the righteous, and honoured all that were wise in the understanding, and brought back the priests to their ministry, and destroyed and removed the magicians and the enchanters and the necromancers from the land. And not only did he slay the impious that were living, but they also took from the sepulchres the bones of the dead, and burned them with fire. And the festivals and the Sabbaths he established in their sanctity, and their polluted ones he burnt in the fire, and the lying prophets which deceived the people he also burnt in fire. And the people who listened to them when they were living, he cast them into the brook Kidron, and heaped stones upon them. And he was zealous with zeal for the Mighty One with all his soul, and he alone was firm with the law at that time, so that he left none that was uncircumcised, or that wrought impiety in all the land in the days of his life. Therefore he shall receive an eternal reward, and he shall be glorified with the Mighty One beyond many at a later time. For on his account, and on account of those who are like him, were the honourable glories, of which you were told before, created and prepared. These are the bright waters which you have seen. And the black 11th waters which you have seen, this is the calamity which is now befallen Zion. Do you think that there is no anguish to the angels in the presence of the Mighty One? That Zion was so delivered up, and that, lo, the Gentiles boast in their hearts, and assemble before their idols, and say, She is trodden down, who oftentimes trod down. She has been reduced to servitude, who reduces others. Dost you think that in these things the Most High rejoices, or that his name is glorified? But how is it served towards his righteous judgment? Yet after these things shall the dispersed among the Gentiles be taken hold of by tribulation, and in shame shall they dwell in every place. Because so far as Zion is delivered up, and Jerusalem laid waste, shall idols prosper in cities of the Gentiles. The vapour of the smoke of the incense of the righteousness, which is by the law, is extinguished in Zion. And in the region of Zion, every place, lo, there is a smoke of impiety. But the king of Babylon will arise, who has now destroyed Zion, and he will boast over the people. And he will speak great things in his heart at the presence of the Most High. But he also shall fall at last. These are the black waters. And the bright 12 waters which you have seen, this is the word. For after these things time will come, when your people shall fall into distress, so that they shall all run to the risk of perishing together. Nevertheless, they will be saved, and their enemies will fall in their presence. They will have in due time much joy, and at that time, after a little interval, Zion will again be rebuilt, and its offerings will again be restored, and the priests will return to their ministry, and also the Gentiles will come to glorify it. Nevertheless, not fully, as in the beginning. But it will come to pass after these things, that there will be a fall of many nations. These are the bright waters which you have seen. For the last waters which you have seen were darker than all the others that were before them, those of which were the 12th number, which were collected together, belong to the whole world. For the Most High made division from the beginning, because he alone knows what will befall. For as to the Enormites and the impieties which should be wrought before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them, and of the good works of the righteous which should be accomplished before him. He foresaw 6 kinds of them, beyond those which he should work at the consummation of the age. On his account there were not black waters with black, nor bright with bright, but it is for the consummation. I hear therefore an interpretation of the last black waters, which are to come, after the black. This is the word, Behold, the days come, and it shall be when the time of the age has ripened. So the video is going to end. God bless.